Shalom. This is the book of Salaki. Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Karkadash, and the Heavenly Father. True name is Yahweh, and His only begotten Son, Bahashem, and Nebuchadnezzar Mashiach Kapshai. Those are the true names in the ancient Paleo Hebrew, the Lashon Kodash Little Tongue. And I say Barakatham to the elders and apostles for Akim Akraf, and I say Shalom. And this is a sit-down lesson of the prophecy updates as of May the 25th, 2025 on Sunday night. And you have this news article from abcnews.go.com as of May the 25th, 2025. It says Russia bombardments Ukraine with massive drone and missile attacks. It says Ukraine Air Force says that Russia launched a total of 367 air attack vehicles at targets across the country.
Overnight, Russia launching a barrage of missiles and drone attacks. Ukrainian officials say at least 18 people were killed, 85 injured, and more than 80 residential buildings were damaged. These attacks not slowing down either, despite the completion of the largest prisoner exchange of the 3-year-old war between the two countries. ABC's foreign correspondent Marcus Moore joining me now. Marcus, good to have you. So we know Ukraine is now releasing those images capturing just the scale of the devastation there. Meanwhile, Zelensky is saying the United States silence speaks volumes. What's the latest on that?
Yeah, well, it was another violent, very sleepless night for people in Ukraine. But once again, Morgan, for a second night, Russia pummeling parts of Ukraine, including the capital of Kyiv. We've heard from Ukrainian officials that Russia launched nearly 400 drones and missiles at 13 different areas, districts in Ukraine, hitting dormitories and various civilian locations. And as you mentioned, there have been a number of casualties reported, including deaths. It does give you a sense of how this war is continuing to unfold and how lives are being lost in the process. And all in the midst of this prisoner exchange that was concluded this weekend, the 3 separate exchanges for a total of 1,000 prisoners each. And Morgan, we understand that some 300 soldiers on each side were exchanged. You mentioned President Zelensky in his comments on what he said, the silence from the U.S. And others. He has been calling for more sanctions against Russia to try to stop this war. And one of the things he said is that the world may go on this weekend break, but the war continues regardless of weekends and weekdays.
Yeah, Marcus, we're certainly seeing that. Let's switch gears to Russia, because have they come out to say anything about this? And does this attack further underscore the lack of progress in the ceasefire talks that you mentioned?
Well, I think one of the things that the Russians have said is that they are open to peace. But what they want to see addressed, or they say, are the core issues that led to this invasion, and that's one of the things that they have said, and this war will continue. Nevertheless, one of the things that President Zelensky has said is that Vladimir Putin is not interested in peace. In fact, that he is trying to drag this war out, and what we have seen, he will point to what we've seen this weekend as evidence of that.
All right, Marcus Moore, thank you so much.
And this is the book of Matthew 24, verse 6. And ye shall hear of wars, rumors of wars, the Russia-Ukraine situation. See that you be not in trouble for all these things, but first come to pass, but the end is not yet. Right, so we're still going to see wars, rumors of wars, but it's going to come to pass, but not going to end just yet. Matthew 24, verse 7. For nation shall rise against nation. Right, so we're seeing a nation within itself being divided, because those Russians, those are Edomites. So that goes into ethnos, because you have modern day nation against modern day nation. It said, for nation shall rise against nation, and the kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. Right, so we're going to see these nuclear wars, tensions are heating up between the modern day nations and modern day kingdoms. And we're going to be seeing the famines and pestilent plagues and earthquakes in diverse places on top of that as well, too. Let's check out Arab News for some more prophecy updates. So definitely the Russia-Ukraine situation is definitely going to continue to heat up. And this is another escalation, heating up of wars and rumors of wars. You got this news article from ArabNews.com, and it reads, Israeli strike kills 20 at a Gaza school housing display, people health authority says. It says the medics says that dozens of casualties in the strike on the school in the Darajat neighborhood of the Gaza city, including women and children. This is updated 6 days ago. I mean, six seconds ago from Reuters, May the 26th, 2025. It says the Israeli strike on a school housing displaced people in the Gaza kills at least 20 people and injured dozens, including authorities told Reuters early on Monday. It says Israel stepped up its military operation in the enclave in early May, saying it is seeking to eliminate Hamas military and government capabilities and bring back the remaining hostages who were sieged on October 2023. Medics says the dozens of casualties in the square of the school in the Darajat neighborhood of Gaza City, including women and children. Some of the bodies were badly burned, according to the images circulating on social media, which Reuters could not immediately verify. There is no immediate comment by the Israeli military, despite mounting international pressure that pushes Israel to lift a blockage on the aid supplies in the face of the warnings. Looming fame. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said last week that Israel would control the whole Gaza. It says Israel has taken control 77% of the enclave in the either through the ground forces or evacuation orders and bombardments that keep residents away from their homes, the Gaza's media officials said. The Israeli campaign triggered after Hamas Islamic militants attacked Israeli communities on October 7, 2023, killing about 1,200 people, have devastated Gaza and pushing nearly of all of its 2 million residents from their homes. The offense has killed more than 53,000 people, and many of them civilians, according to the Gaza health authorities. It's the book of Luke. That's the book of Luke 21 and verse 25. It says, there shall be signs in the sun and the moon and the stars, and upon the earth disgrace of nations will perplex the Caesar's war. Right, that's what we're seeing. The disgrace of nations will perplex the Caesar's war. Due to the fact there's wars and rumors of wars, nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. And this is the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 9, verse 3. It says, therefore, when there should be seen earthquakes and uproars people the world. Right, so we're going to continue to see increasing earthquakes and uproars people the world. That's what we're seeing. 2nd Esdras, chapter 15. 2nd Esdras, chapter 15, and verse 15. It says, for the sword the destruction draweth nigh, and one people should stand up and fight against another with swords in their hands. Right, so one people should stand up and fight against another with swords in their hands, and that's what we're seeing. 2nd Esdras 15, verse 16, for there should be sedition among men, invading one another. They should not regard with their kings and their princes, of course, the actual state of power. Right, so we're going to see sedition among men, which we're seeing right now, which is going to continue to increase, and it's going to come into full effect as well, too. For there should be sedition among men, invading one another. They should not regard their kings or their princes, and of course, the actual state of power. Right, that's what we're seeing. The sedition among men was taking place with what's going on over there in the Gaza Strip. You having a heavy military defense from the Israel Defense Force, constantly, consistently using airstrikes over there in the Gaza Strip, the West Bank, Palestinian territory. So we definitely see a sedition among men. The resistance of Palestinians going against the Israel Defense Force, Hamas going against the Israel Defense Force, and that's what we see a sedition among men around the world. Yep, it says, for there shall be sedition among men, invading one another. They should not regard their kings nor their princes, and of course, actions nor their power. And I'm going to start at verse 14, go up first. Second Edges 15, verse 14, woe to the world, and then that dwell therein. Second Edges 15, verse 15, for the sword of destruction draweth nigh, and one people should stand up and fight against another with swords in hands, because we know the modern sword's weapon. Second Edges 15, verse 16, for there should be sedition among men, invading one another. They should not regard their kings nor their princes, and of course, actions stand in power. And this is the book of St. Mark, chapter 3, verse 24, because we definitely see these Edomites being divided against one another. And I've seen that from the Trump administration. Donald Trump, he was mentioning, he was speaking to the reporters. He said he was very mad at Vladimir Putin because that heavy missile airstrike that took place, I believe, killed like 18 people and 23 others. And then the latest rounds, it was like a couple of people were killed and dozens were injured as well too. As reportedly, you had Ukraine was targeting Vladimir Putin's presidential helicopter. Was they trying to take down? So that's what started a heavy missile barrage, over there in Kyiv, as he's visiting that region over there. So that shows you that we're going to be seeing rising tensions between the Russia-Ukraine situation, despite the fact they had their largest prison swipe, and they was having a draft peace solution. But ever since then, we've definitely been seeing rising tensions and heating up with the Russia-Ukraine situation. So that's what we're seeing: modern day kingdoms being divided, modern day nations being divided, and that's what we're seeing: wars and rumors of wars, nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. Saint Mark chapter 3, verse 24. And if a kingdom be divided against itself, which cannot stand, why should going to have a kingdom within itself be divided, which cannot stand, outside of another kingdom rise against another kingdom? And that's what we're seeing signs of that. St. Mark chapter 3, verse 25. And if a house be divided against itself, the house cannot stand. Right, so if a house be divided against itself, the house cannot stand, and that's what we're seeing. St. Mark 3, verse 26. And if Satan rises against himself, be divided, cannot stand, but have an end. That's what it's saying. So this was just a quick sit-down lesson of the prophecy updates as of May the 25th, 2025 on this Sunday night. So with that, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem Karkadash, and the Heavenly Father. True name is Yahweh, and His only begotten Son Ba'ashem, name of Mashiach Kapshai. Those are the true names in the ancient Paleo Hebrew, the Lashon Luton. And I say Barakathon to the elders and apostles, what Akim Akwa. Until next time, I will say Shalom.